It's so important for us as women to have other women to look up to, other women that are like rooting for us, especially if you don't have a great relationship with your own mother, which is supposed to be the first woman that, sees you, speaks life into you, and love you, really, right? I came from that mother who I don't have a good relationship with my mom. Actually, I have no relationship with my mother. I went no contact with her, I want to say maybe like 9 years ago. And I came to that decision because I wasn't getting what I needed from her, and I realized she wasn't capable of giving it to me. But there's a wound there, right? Because no one nurtured me. No one told me that I could do anything that I want and that I was special. And as women, we need to hear that. And it was so crazy to me, though, that when I started working, I had a boss who saw me, right? And I had many, like, terrible bosses, female bosses, right? But I was just fortunate enough to have one, right? One woman that saw me. And you guys, it did wonders, okay? And to tell you the truth, she was only my boss for a short period of time. I think a little bit less than a year, so maybe like 10 months. And I knew she affected me when she got she had got promoted, and she called us all into a meeting. She was the head of the marketing department, and I worked underneath her. And when she called us all into the meeting and she told us, you guys, I was tearing up. And I'm like, this is my boss. Like, why am I crying? And I was so embarrassed because my other coworkers in there, and they're looking at me like, what the fuck? And like, I think maybe a lot of them didn't even like her, but her and I had our own special relationship. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I went home that day and I was like, why am I feeling this way? And I felt this way because she saw me. When she hired me for the job, she was speaking life into me. She was like, wow, like, you're so great, you're amazing, and you're a mom. You went back to school, because I told her when I was pregnant, I finished college, and she was a mom too, and she was just like, oh my gosh. And when I showed her like my website and all the things that I was doing outside of work, she was just bigging me up as a person, like, yo, like, you're doing so great. It was just like the way she handled me. Like, if she had a call, like a very important call, as I said, she was the head of marketing. It didn't go higher than her. She would call me out of her office. She'd be like, come here, come sit with me, come listen in on this call. And then I would be sitting there because it would be like some type of other senior head that's like in Pakistan or somewhere. And I'm just like, and she'll be like, Kelly, do you have anything to offer to the conversation? And I'm looking at her like, ma'am, I don't. But the fact that she thought I could bring something to the conversation was just like, what? Like, you believe in me, you see me. Like, when we would have like weekly meetings and stuff with like the rest of the co-workers or whatever, she would big me up. She'll be like, you know what, we have to have a design team, social media team, all this stuff. Did you guys know that Kelly runs her own website, that she has an Instagram or whatever? Do you know that she's running this all by herself? And they're looking like, because their jobs were actually bigger than mine. But she's saying like, look, this girl here, that's my executive assistant, is doing way more than y'all. Like, so basically put some respect on that. And she would just do this over time. And I didn't even realize until in that moment that that she announced that she was leaving the job. I like this rush of emotion. And I got home that evening or whatever, and I was so sad. But I realized it was because I've never had a woman tell me how great I was. Why am I yelling? Why? I'm getting like so like, oh my gosh. But I never had another woman tell me like how great I was, that I could accomplish anything. None of that. So here comes this random woman who's my boss, by the way, telling me this. And here she was leaving. You know what I'm saying? Leaving me. I was like, how am I going to cope? But I'm going to tell you this. She ended up leaving and her words stuck. I end up leaving my job like a year or so later, starting my own head wrap company, and my business did very well. I was able to move out of my state, buy a house, you understand, knock on something or whatever. Now I'm in another state, and starting over again, transitioning, but she gave me that. Clearly I had it in me too, and she saw that, but just her belief in me. And I reached out to her and I said to her, I emailed her and I told her, like, look, I don't know why I cried, but I do know why I cried. And I told her how much she meant to me. And, thanks for seeing me after having all these bosses that never saw me. And she was like, girl, I'm not doing you a favor here. You are great. You are special. You get people to do things. Like, this is like a skill that you have. Like, lean into that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, you guys, I lost that email because it was our work email. And I wish I had that email today to go back and reread it whenever I felt low or when I feel low. But I'm telling you, it's so important to have like that, just that one person, that one woman, female role model in your life, because that can literally lift you up. But anyways, that's all I gotta say. Bye.